That's crazy. I nearly ended up forgetting to add us to the stage. Big up to everyone locked in. You know what I mean, bro? Liverpool 7 points clear again. It's just vibes from here on in. Who cares about the performance? Now I'm joking, man. Obviously, I got Mike. He's going to be joining us. K-Mac's going to be joining us. And G is going to be joining us. And we'll just chop it up, man. We have a bit of a laugh to get, for you guys to understand. We've got 5 questions. I want to ask the man them on the panel. We'll chop it up together. And that should kind of, set the tone for the stream. But Mike's in the building. K-Mac's in the building. G's in the building. The guys are in the building today. Big up, guys. And thanks very much for joining me as well, man. I know, obviously, you guys are busy men as well. So appreciate you guys taking the time out and joining us.
Big up, man. Big up, everyone.
Big up. Should be about, why is the mic? Do you know, I changed my position of my mic and I don't know where to put it. Sounded mad when I said that to myself then. But
yeah, madman.
No, I don't know. Do you know when I found a great position for it, but I don't know this. I used to have it on this side, but nah, I don't know. But look,
you like a chick with the camera angles and that. Just put it in the angle that you need it to be at. So
I think the camera is cold now, bro. I fixed the situation of that as well. So we're good, man. We're good.
Don't put your mic where your hands go, because you'll end up knocking it.
I do that like all the time, especially when I'm drinking, bro. You see enough time, I'll just knock the mic, and I don't know. No one says nothing. I'm like, no one saw that. One time I was drinking, I knocked it, nearly spilled the drink all. It was mad. It was mad. But look, Liverpool 2, Wolves 1. Lots to be spoken about for this game, but as I said, I know big up to Gio. I was watching his stream earlier, so I'm not gonna try to make it slightly different. So we're not gonna bore the guys. I know many of the guys are coming over from there as well, so not to bore it. So I've got 5 questions I really want to chop up with you guys. It will then expand on the conversation, and we can get into it. But the first one I've got, I think we'll start off with this one and chat as well. Big up you guys for joining in as well, man. Love for the love. Do all that other stuff, that stuff, like it, subscribe, and all that stuff. But this part here, man. What happened in the first half that didn't happen in the second half? Because, looking at the way we played in the first half, I was like, dominating, popping the ball about, creating chances, shooting on goal. Wolves were sitting in and trying to, navigate their way through the first half. 2-0 up, cruising. Probably could have been 3 of, you know what I mean? Little things that we could have done a little bit better in that first half, but we didn't. But we were 2-0 up in the game. But the first half happened, second half happened. So we'll open it up for the panel, and you guys can, whoever wants to kind of go first. But we're looking at first half stats, right? Yeah, like that's Liverpool and Anfield. 2 goals, 53%. So we're controlling 10 shots, 3 on target. Touches in the opposition's box, 20. You're like, okay, all right, we're cooking. But then second half, yeah, them numbers are crazy. Like when I look at them numbers are crazy. Like, did we swap shirts in the second half? Did we go right? Wolves, you man,
But I mean, I disagree in the sense that I don't even think that we were dominating in the first half. Like, if you look at it, Luis Diaz's goal is like the definition of just jamming. Right? Mo Salah puts a ball in, it deflects off a defender. Luis Diaz runs into it with his stomach. It goes past Jose Sa into the net, right? Very ugly goal. Obviously, we had the penalty. Whether you want to have the debate on that penalty, whatever, he clipped him. It is what it is. Contact was made. The ball was going out of bounds. It was a stupid mistake by the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper doesn't have to touch him because Luis Diaz's touch is heavy. So we got a little bit of a break there. Outside of that, the best chance that I can think of is Soboslai's shot from outside the box. And I wouldn't even necessarily say that was like a brilliant opportunity. I think that we were dominating possession and we weren't giving anything up, right? But we also weren't really creating a whole lot. A little bit like Everton, where I'm not creating clear-cut chances, but I'm also not giving up anything. Then second half comes. I think the one-on-one opportunity was early on in the second half when Alisson had to come out and make that save after that brilliant touch. I think it was 5 or 10 minutes into Quansah being on the pitch, you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, like he just easily got by him with a little, outside of the heel flick on. But outside of that one-on-one, it took Acuna brilliant strike to really score, right? And those are the 2 opportunities where I'm thinking to myself, okay, they could have scored. I think if you look at a lot of those shots, They come from outside the box. They're in poor positions. They're not high quality. To me, it's just like the midfield wasn't good in the first half, much like Everton, and the midfield wasn't good in the second half, much like Everton. We had a really difficult time being cohesive and fluid and being able to create. I saw McAllister making deep runs. I saw Soboslai making deep runs. Gravenberch was staying back. It looked a little discombobulated, and I was just disappointed in the fact that you have the Everton result. It was poor. This was an opportunity to just make a statement and say, we don't care. Putting it past us. We're going to take it all into our hands. And credit to them. We won. We got the 3 points. But, that performance was anything but convincing. Even though I don't feel like we gave up a whole lot, we were fortunate, in my opinion, to even score 2 goals. Because, again, like you said, we didn't have a single shot. Not just a shot on target. We didn't attempt a shot in the 50 minutes of football because there was 6 minutes added. So that's 51 minutes of football where we did not have a shot against a dog water Wolverhampton Wanderers. So it's, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points, and people will come at me and say, performances don't matter. It's results season. And I'm like, well, performances are a little bit indicative of what those results will be. But, bygones be bygones.
Do you know, for me, though, Mike, I'm a massive performance guy, but I know in the second half of the season, I don't care about it, bro. I said the first half, because I'm like, you set your storyline, how you want to, go about your business at the start of the season. So guys need to perform. We can't be shaky at the start and then expect to be really good in the end, right? You build off of, okay, we were really good. So that means maybe this moment in time is just a little bit of a uncertainty moment in the season, because I've seen that you guys were really good in the first half. So that's something. But if they were shaking, I see this now, I'll be so nervous as hell. But G came out, what happened, bro? Like, did we swap shirts? Did Cunha on Salah? What happened, bro? I don't know.
Can I go first, G? Is that all right?
Yeah. I've spoken already.
Look, if you really want to sum up the way we've been, last season, it was Crystal Palace and Everton. That's exactly how we've been. Yeah. The only difference is we've drawn a game and we've won a game. It's the only difference. Like, it looks like our guys have kind of got to a stage where maybe the opposition's kind of figured out a little bit how to play against Slot now. Like, the start of the season, he's an unknown quantity. He didn't really know. Other teams didn't really know how he was going to play, and he bamboozled managers. Now it looks like we can kind of box their midfield. We can isolate a few players. We can maybe nullify some of their attacks. And it looks like teams are starting to work that out. And it's basically playing really aggressive shit football in the middle of the park, which seems to be our Achilles heel right now, where we're just being outgazumped in the middle of the park, and our midfield aren't being able to get the ball from the back to the front quick enough. And that's what looks like we're being caught out with. Happened at Everton, happened with Manchester United, by the way, happened with Everton. It's also happened in this game as well. But we still managed to get a win, and we've still managed to get points on the board. And last season, they would have been 2 losses. For the performance-wise, they would have been 2 losses. But you also have to look at Wolves as well. Like, Wolves don't play like a team that are 1 point above relegation. Like, they just don't.
Arne Slot's did that as well.
Yeah, they got beat by Arsenal 1 goal. They got beat by Newcastle 2-1. Like, they drew with other teams. They beat Manchester United. They drew with Tottenham. Like they're not. They drew with Nottingham Forest as well, by the way. They're not a shit team, but they are in a shit position, if that makes sense. And they've got a guy that can just pull a rabbit out of the hat in Cunha, and he did. Like, they didn't do much else in that game, to be honest. Like, they had that chance which Ali saved, but that was it. Like, and Cunha scored a screamer. Like, it is what it is. Like we just have to take the 3 points and move on and kind of forget about that. But the problem is, and this is what Mike's talking about, the performance isn't really going anywhere. And the start of this year really hasn't been great because we kind of binned one game, played half well in another game, got a draw, binned another game. So we've kind of given ourselves losses, which we didn't need to lose, but we kind of made that choice ourselves. And it's trying to get back into the winning mentality again. And I think this is one we really need to have. We really needed to get over the line. If this was another draw, I don't know where we would. I don't know where the next two games would go. But we've got something to work on now. But if we drawn this 2-2 and conceded in the last minute, oh my God, the meltdown.
Praise Endo.
And what we would have took
Praise
into those
Endo.
2 away games.
Praise Endo. Endo should have been on for Everton because exactly what
Endo,
he did at the end of that
Endo
game, that's what he would have done.
Shit in this game, mate. I'm sorry. Endo
he
was
was
shit in
not.
this game. But
No,
he
he was
did
not.
that wild tackle, which got the crowd ramped up.
He was
But
not
Endo
shit. He was
crap.
doing his job. He was doing
Mate,
his
he
job.
gave away needless free kicks consistently. Like, there's the reason why Endo isn't going to be a Liverpool player next season. Like,
He gave away one poor free kick in one
There was
dangerous
3.
area that they did nothing
was-
with.
was
But
3.
those weren't in dangerous areas.
No, but Cunha can make it dangerous.
But then
Yeah.
look, we
It's fine. It's fine.
we obviously first off, I'm looking at the numbers and going, yeah, cool. Obviously slightly different between you guys' opinions on the first and second half. But I thought, you know, from my standpoint, I thought we definitely, you know, dominated that game. Look, I obviously I think with everyone that watches football, I think our definition of like dominating is slightly different. I think I can see like them having opportunities, but it's not really an opportunity I can give you that. I'm like, that could happen on a stupid little mistake or a little, maybe a loose pass here and then they get a shot off and whatever. But I felt like we was good, 2-0 up, deserved the lead. And then second half, I don't know what the conversation was. And it's going to go to my next question or one of my other questions. But before that, I want to get G's take on it as well. But I don't know what happened, bro. Like, it was 2017 I saw, bro, that the last time these guys, that we didn't have a shot in the second half. Like, how, like, even if you're like in the game, right, and you go, right, surely someone should be, if we were all playing in the same team, surely one of us, like, bro, we ever had a shot yet? I'll shoot from distance because I can't have them numbers. I can't be coming off the pitch going, yeah, you man didn't. I'll get what? I'll just shoot from far out, bro.
If Gomez was on, he would have had a shot.
Yeah, shut off. But Gee, what's your take on this, man? First half was good. Second half was, yeah.
Yeah, the second half, you got the numbers there, man. It was actually shit. First off, I don't feel. Let's put it this way: we went 2-0 up, right? I never once thought that Wolves are out of the game, though. So I didn't ever feel like, yeah, this is too, like, you know, sometimes you go 2-0 up and you think, yeah, you just killed them, even at 2-0. So now it's just more about managing the game, which maybe the players thought, but even towards the back end of that first half, Wolves were starting to press more. Like, you saw it from the back end of the first half to the basically more or less to the whole of the second half. They put us in a low block. We ended up being in a low, like, which never made sense to me. I was like, how can you be at home and you're Liverpool, right?
What's the low block, bro? Sometimes you have to, G, man. Yeah.
No. Sometimes you have to. Yeah, that's fine. I hear it and it's true, but not in these kind of circumstances. Like at 2-0 up, we should have been in the ascendancy. Like I expected, especially coming into that second half. I thought, like I generally thought everyone was kind of calm anyway in that first half. I didn't think it was amazing. I just thought, yeah, it's all right. Like you were 2-0 up, we can just keep it moving, as Mike and K-Mac have said. But yeah, the second half, like I don't know what that conversation was, but Liverpool, I can't remember being that bad in a half of a game. But yeah, it was just poor, and I just felt like the whole game for me, nothing's going on. Like I said it in my stream earlier on, bro. The way that Liverpool play, at times, I can understand why people say it's boring. The passing is lethargic, it's slow. We don't have players who move around and stuff like how you would see a Brighton, Arsenal, City. Then we don't do that. What we're really good at is transition. So anytime that happens, Liverpool, lightning quick, probably the best team alongside Barcelona, if not better than them, who are just boom, boom, boom. When it's not that, I said it already, like Liverpool are the worst team in the league to watch on the ball. I hate it. It is
Static.
horrible. Like I just don't understand why we're not talking about dead play. You're talking about World Cup winners and Premier League. Like the way that we play when we're on set or in settled play, it is horrible to watch. And the reason why I feel like it's so horrible is because of what kind of happened in that second half. Is that no one's moving. Everyone's like static, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll pass to this guy, but there's no like, I'm not asking for Barcelona prime Pep Guardiola, but like Jesus Christ, like just move off someone. Like I don't know,
offering up an option. No one really.
Offering up
We don't work
Yeah.
triangles. Like what G is saying is perfectly correct. Like
And Slot
if you
said
look
that.
at our
I think Slot
midfield,
said that as well.
yeah, there's like literally these last two games, the most indicative thing is it's the back four and it's Gravenberch and McAllister, right? And like that's pretty much where 98% of our possession is. Just those 6 players rotating the ball between each other. And there's no one dropping deep to form a triangle to then bypass the opposing midfield. And so teams are learning now, okay.
There was at the start of the season. There was at the start of the season. We had those patterns where our attacker would drop into midfield and the triangle would be a Dominic Szoboszlai or a Jota would win the ball and then lay it off to a Trent or a Bradley. It was Trent. And then he would play the ball to Salah, who'd be on his bike. And you'd have that triangle, and it would work the other way around as well. And I was like, "Oh, this is great stuff." But it looks like it's being figured out. Like I said, it looks like his tactics are being figured out now. And it was going to happen eventually.
I don't know if it's just his tactic though.
Teams were going to get away to block us. It was going to happen.
But the reason why I don't know if it's just his tactics is because when Klopp tried to play possession-based football, and we had games where we had 75% of possession, and then we would lose to Crystal Palace.
We didn't have the right players for it.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm talking about even last season when there is no personnel change. This is the exact same way that we were playing. It was static. It was slow. There wasn't off-ball movement. There was no space creation. I don't even like. I think that playing, Trent playing the ball to Mo, that's even too complex. Like, figure out how to have Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai form a triangle to then create 10 yards of space for one of them to run into. We don't need hero balls. We don't need diagonals. We don't need passes in behind. You just need to consistently create 10 yards of space throughout a game. And eventually, with these players, you will create something. Someone will find a pass on the run forward. Someone will make a good run, but the reason why we have 0 shots is because no one could even get into that space to make a pass, right? Like people talk about the forwards having a day off. I can't really blame them if the midfield can't get a single 10-yard run to have a split second to make a decision. And of course, the one goal that we did score, which was offside, by the way, I went on Microsoft Paint because they didn't draw the lines. And I drew them myself, and I now have a true. I fully understand the difficulty that they go through because that took me like 5 minutes to get it right, to get it parallel, and he was definitely offside. But if they're using Microsoft Paint, we got to have a different conversation because that was incredibly difficult, and I wasn't even fully accurate. I just know that based on how far offside he was, I didn't have to be 100% accurate. But
you got LiDAR. They got LiDAR, mate.
But
yeah.
But still,
what was you gonna say though, G? You were gonna add to your point as well. That's
it's kind of what Mike said. Like I've said this from day one, and it's not happened with Slot at all. And that's one thing I hope it does. Liverpool do not know how to play against low blocks. Like you can see that we can't, as Mike said, you just can't seem to just figure it out, right? What will usually happen? And only in games when we're like maybe 1-0 down or we need a goal, it's through relentless pressure. Eventually, pressure will wilt at some point in time. You got quality players, like the players that we've got. Eventually, the quality usually will tell. Not all the time, but it more often than not, it's going to tell. And that's how we will get through some of these games. But this season, even alone, I'll be honest, I know you said it earlier on, but I like what I think Slot is trying to do, right? And I think I've seen that in that first half of the season. The problem is that I think he's having is that when we get into certain situations in games, the players revert to type. So whatever message he's trying to tell them and get them to do, they're not really able to follow through with that. What they tap into is one thing that Liverpool do have. They got crazy mentality, bro. We barely lose games. Like, I can't, like, how many games do we realistically lose on average, taking out that shit season in the last like 7-8 years? We don't lose that many games. That's a mental mentality to actually have. So we tap into that. But when you're asking the team to play football and figure it out, we cannot do that. That's one thing I have not seen under Slot, and I'm still not seeing it now. And that frustrates me because I'm like, I thought by now, I'll be honest, it's February. I know people say it's someone's first season. I don't feel like it take that long for someone to have their imprint of what they're trying to do, and we should see it tenfold. At this moment in time, I'm not still. So what I am seeing is it's still basically like Klopp, but in very scarce moments, it's like, yeah. So we instead of doing just as a really silly example, instead of the 10 counter-attacking opportunities that we might want to create under Klopp, we'll bring that down to 3. So instead, we're going to keep the ball at the back, maybe a bit longer. Van Dijk's going to draw someone in. He's going to pop it to Alisson. Alisson's going to pop it into McAllister. McAllister pops it back. He pops it into Van Dijk. Van Dijk back into Alisson. Alisson clips it over the oncoming right winger, and then it goes into Robertson. I shouldn't really know the movement.
You know this, then the other teams definitely.
Then exactly what I'm saying. And that frustrates me because, and listen, it might just be PTSD more than anything, but last season, I could tell you, and I remember watching the games and thinking, Trent's going to pass here, he's going to pass back, no, I don't want that. They, as Mike said, create those triangles. And as a Slot said it after the game, like, we're not creating that. And that frustrates me because I'm like, I thought by now that you guys would, like, the football would just be better. Forget like, obviously I hear the performance, and obviously I just want the 3 points, right? So that overrides everything. But I did think by now you guys would at least be playing better football, because everyone's had this whole 6-7 months with this manager. We know what he's trying to do, but it just seems like you just revert to type all the time. And then you get set like a second half like that. Like, I'm sorry, but that is embarrassing. Like, that is an embarrassing thing to have at home for Liverpool, to go a whole half, no shots at all, 3 touches in opposition box, and they had 4 times more than we. Bro, that's embarrassing.
We had 20 in the first half. We had 20 in the first half, and we had 3. But sticking to that, I don't know if G got the memo early. I don't know who's sending him the emails, but that's exactly what was my question. And the next question, man, why do Liverpool players go back to type? Should they not trust Arne Slot's process?
Can I go on that one?
You're right, bro. We as soon as going gets tough, these man go, do you know what? Let's go back to this madness.
Wild.
That's a wild football, up and down, frantic. I don't know, but that's the next question.
You know what? You know what amazes me is what the hell were we doing on the training pitch for the players to be so hypnotized by Jurgen and Pep and Linda's tactics that a little bit of adversity and we just go straight back to how we used to play?
8 years of brainwashing, bro.
Wild. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like,
to be fair, 8 years is a long time though, so you are going to be quite.
No, but
like,
some of them,
strong.
yeah, but some of them haven't been with us for 8 years,
true.
And you're like, you've only been with us like a year or 2 years, and you're acting like it's a Jurgen team. Like, it's quite crazy. But look, I've got to say, look, and it's not an agenda, okay, but I genuinely feel like the last couple of games, he hasn't been able to get what he's really wanted off the bench to make any kind of impact. And if you look at previous games, we've got like, what do we get? We got like an assist and a goal and an assist and 2 goals and whatever, all off the benches. Like, today, nothing. There's nothing off that bench apart from a defensive mentality from Endo. And if you're throwing Endo on the pitch to try and keep a game at 2-1, then it is going to be backs to the walls, because you're not going to get any forward creativity from him. But you're not even using Elliott now. Like, you don't trust Elliott like enough to bring him on to make an impact. And, you know, I've said it a million times, like, you've got a striker that you're bringing off the bench who you would think would be an impact player because he cost an arm and a leg and he had an amazing season last season, apparently. But he didn't have a shot on goal. Like, he had 20 touches. He lost possession 6 times. Like, he lost most of his duels. Like you have to have something to come off the bench. And I felt like today Curtis Jones would have made a huge impact because Curtis Jones doesn't give the ball away. He never does. And he's a guy that can kind of control a game. And he made a massive impact when we brought him on against Everton. I know he got sent off in the end, but he made a massive impact in that game when he came on against Everton. And we'd have probably won the Plymouth game if we'd been able to bring him off the bench, but we couldn't because he was injured. So I feel like he hasn't had enough off the bench to make impacts in games recently. And hopefully that'll change in the next one because we've got Jones back and, we'll see how that goes. But it is weird that we go a goal down or we concede a goal first and we just literally turn back into Jurgen team. Like sometimes it takes a goal to wake us up. And then when we go down, then we go into our shell. And then we're like literally panicking like we're gonna lose that game.
I mean,
But, yeah.
I to answer your original question, Enz, I think it's a combination of the players that we have at our disposal and the players that we rely on, right? Like, if you look at our spine, they were there for Jurgen's entire reign, essentially, right? So it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to
class as that
sort
spine
of
then just to
Van Dijk, Trent, and Mo, right? I feel like
Ali.
that's what people would,
Ali as well.
would and of course Allison, right?
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't class Robbo in there as well. You wouldn't class Robbo in there.
yeah, but the thing is, again, like I said, the players that we have, and then what's it called? Their experiences. Like right now, Robertson, like we don't really we're not relying on him. I mean, and like especially today, the amount of defensive mistakes that he made.
Oh God, yeah.
The amount of times that I saw him tracking back because he went for a 50-50 and missed it, or he lost possession, right? Like, so I'm not going to be disingenuous.
He had a cheek, didn't he, collecting that Man of the Match award?
Yeah. But regardless of that, I think number one, like just from the mentality perspective, like those are the guys that you're looking to, right? Like if I'm any of the midfielders, I'm looking at Verge. He's my captain. Like he's supposed to be the general. He's pointing at everyone. He's telling us when to go quick, when to go slow, And so if he's reverting to type, then the midfield is going to be following him, and that's something that like we can't look past the mental aspect of the game because obviously it's very difficult for us to analyze that because we're not the ones on the pitch, but that's a very important part, right? What is Virgil doing? How is he conducting it? Because he is basically the conductor on our team. He's the only one I ever see who gets animated when we're playing too slow. That means that he's having issues. Why are you doing something? And then, of course, it just comes down to like the profiles that we have. And maybe Slot is making mistakes. Like we don't know that because I see Trent trying to make incisive passes, but I also see Trent giving away the ball, losing possession. Yet he might be being told, hey, you're the incisive pass guy. But it's not working, and it's consistently not working. Today it worked once, but he was about a foot offside. But outside of that, he was giving away the ball cheaply. So was McAllister. McAllister was getting into positions, giving away the ball cheaply, crossing it into the box to no one, right? Soboslai basically was playing left winger to finish the game. The last 15 minutes, he was playing left wing. He somehow did a more effective job than McAllister, who went in to occupy those spaces. I don't know how to answer it because I'm not the one on the field and I'm not the one who's like in the head of the players, but it's got to be a combination of what they're used to, who we look to on the pitch, and what Slot is telling them. Because if I see the same patterns week over week, I mean, if you're telling me that Slot is saying things and the players aren't listening and we're 7 points clear, I would say that we have a pretty decent problem. It's not the end of the world. They seem to be able to figure it out. But at the same time, do I believe that we could be even further clear? Yeah, 100%. I feel like we've left 6 points on the board cheaply. I feel like that we could be 13, 15 points ahead of the rest of the pack. I don't even feel like we're playing great football throughout the whole season. Even the early part of the season when everyone was saying, oh, look at all this control. I remember having critiques about Yeah, but we gave away the ball sloppily a couple times, and if against better players or better players on the day, those turn into dangerous opportunities. And of course, people's responses will be, "But they didn't." But over the recent weeks, all of a sudden they are, and that's just the nature of football. Maybe in one half of the season, teams just aren't in form, and in the second half of the season, that same team all of a sudden is up for it. And Cunha happens to hit one from outside the box, or Tarkovsky just happens to hit the volley of his life, or Beto happens to beat Allison man-to-man, one-on-one in a split second. I mean, that same shot that Beto had, what's that kid's face? Hutchinson on Ipswich Town had the same exact one the very first game of the season. How many one-on-one saves did Allison have to make in those first 6, 7, 8 games? Yeah, I mean, we didn't concede, but we gave away those chances, and on the day they weren't good enough. So I don't know. It's definitely it's give and take with me. But I also feel like I need to give Slot a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in the fact that he hasn't bought any of his own players. And right now he's working with someone else's, tools, essentially. Good tools, but, he didn't go to, AutoZone and pick them out himself. Someone else did, right? So, half and half with me on whether or not it's on Slot or the players or how to solve it. But, when you're 7 points clear, it's a good problem to have.
What are you thinking, NG? Because obviously I was listening to you and Jerry chop it up on your stream, and I'm just like, why do these guys always go back to tight, bro? Like every single time we're in a game, you can see the manager there, especially in the Everton game, when Arne Slot is just he's on his knees and then he's rubbing his head and he's like, oh my, what are you guys doing? Because I can see him going, boys, just keep the football. Why are you, man, just kicking the ball down the line? Why are you rushing the possession? But what's yours, G? I don't want to take nothing away from what you're gonna say, but
no, it's what you're like. This is why I say and I wanted people to understand when I was talking on the stream, because it sounded maybe like I was ranting, right? I like Slot. I like how he carries himself. I like the way that he analyzes the game and stuff like that. Like you can see he puts a lot of thought into what he's trying to do, right? And I think, and I'm only gonna know this next season when he buys his own players, right? I think I like what he's trying to do, because remember, he's from that school of like Pep Guardiola-ish in terms of that's someone he looks at and he likes kind of, so I can see what he is trying to do. And you're right. I'm watching him on the sidelines and the guy is super animated. He comes off as this cool guy, but he's actually mad animated when he's on the sidelines, because you can see it. Keep the ball. Why are you doing this? He doesn't want the team to do that. I just think that the team, bro, you said it already. Like, I know you was joking, but it's 8 years of psychological torture like that they basically had for those 8 years. And a lot of these guys, bar maybe a few of them, of course, they played this whole time. They played one style of football throughout this whole time that they've been at the football club. For a lot of these guys, Salah, you know what I'm saying? He's played this one way. So now when this guy is asking you, hence why you hear these guys, right, yo, this guy, he's dope. Like he analyzed like Trent. They all speak about it because in their head, the reality is you don't know anything different. You only know that one guy. I've only been with this chick my whole life. I've never seen any other girl. I've not been with any other girl. I've only been with her. So now when this new girl is doing tricks that you ain't never seen before, it's going to seem a bit more different to what you're obviously used to. And that's almost how I feel Liverpool are. But you will revert to type, though. Just like any human being, you just would revert to type when certain things start to happen, because that's what you remember. And the problem is that you're with this new person who's trying to tell you, forget that, keep the ball, or you move into this. I saw him speaking to like Szoboszlai or Gravenberch and McAllister, telling them to stand in certain positions. I remember it was like a throw on, and he's like, bro, move. Like, you go over here.
Why
you go
guys
here. Like, why are you here? Like, I don't want you here. Like, you being here doesn't help us for what we're trying to do. And I feel like that's obviously one of them things. But as Mike said, though, and the thing is, I actually agree with what Mike's saying about it's tricky, right? Because as a fan, right, your team is 7 points clear. So logically, you don't really have anything to moan about, right? But we all know how football kind of goes a little bit. So I don't, and I'm not going to speak for Mike, he can say it himself, but I don't look at it like you're critiquing it. I'm like, nah, it's not about critiquing, because obviously we're analyzing game by game, right? But also you understand that if you feel you can see a long-term kind of issue, i.e., you know what? He always has takeaway every single Wednesday and Thursday. At some point, that might come back to bite you because eventually you're going to start putting on weight and then it's going to, but that's over time. You ain't going to see that today. You're going to see that later on at a point that you didn't even expect. And then one day you look at yourself in the mirror and it's like, boom, same thing here with Liverpool. It might not happen now. And yes, this is just one game. But for me, like what Mike said, for me, I don't feel like Liverpool have had that many good games anyway. I feel like we've played like this in a lot of games. The difference is that you win 2-0, 3-0, 3-1 because the other team decided that they just wanted to be shit, like in terms of their finishing or in certain chances. So it doesn't look so crazy in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I've said a million times, when it comes to this season, I don't feel like we've been the best team. I just feel like we've been the most consistent team, which is enough for us to win the league this season. Hence why these guys will always revert back to tight, because they're not, I don't think these are the players that slot realistically. Obviously, this is after 6 months of being with them. I don't think he wants these kind of players. I think he does have a type of player that he wants to get in. Once he gets that, we can judge him properly, because then we can at least say, well, you signed X, Y, Z, so now he's here. Let me see what this football looks like. Once that happens, then we can really start looking at it. Right now, it doesn't matter. As everyone keeps saying, we don't care about the performances. I hear it. We're in February. You just want to get the 3 points. And I just want to see the league title. But at the same time, I do start to think almost long term the closer it gets to the end, because I'm like, eesh, I don't know. Like, they keep doing this. Like, every game, it seems, we keep saying every single game in the last like 6 weeks or whatever, K-Mac was talking about it since the beginning of January. I agree, 100%. Like, since the beginning of January, all we've spoken about is, yeah, we've not really played that well, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we won the game. It doesn't matter because we won the game. How many times can you keep saying it doesn't matter because you won the game? Guess what? Eventually, that's going to run out. You're not going to keep being able to just win the game and then move on, unless, and I know people don't like this word in his fan base, unless you get lucky, which is everyone else is just that shit that you're able to just keep doing that. And that's all it's going to end up being. Hence why I think he just needs time.
It is a huge part in winning the league.
No. You need luck, but bro, come on. Like, how many? I don't remember too many title winning teams, where it's almost give or take every other week, if not every week, we're having this conversation of, eesh.
Well, I think
I don't remember watching
I
titles
think
and
Manchester
thinking,
City got a lot of luck with referees. Okay,
yeah, but okay, but two things.
But I'm just more talking about like playing football and stuff like that. But yeah,
two things can be true. Both things can be true, right? Like, we've had games where we've played well, but we've had moments in those games that have almost cost us, right? And for me, as a fan, like, I demand perfection. Like, that's just the way I am. Like, if I see something I don't like, I'm always going to point to that, because to me, it's the odd thing in the room. Right? And so other people might interpret that as negativity, whereas, they just want to look at the nice thing in the room. I don't. I want to look at that shitty blanket on the couch and say, why is that there? It does not match the vibe. Get rid of that blanket, buy something new, right? I.e. the one-on-ones that we would give up in the early parts of the season. But you could also say it's also true that we're lucky to not concede those, or we were lucky that the other team didn't turn those into fruition. You can play good and get lucky at the same time. You can have a great game and be lucky, because every team has lapses. It's just, how bad are your lapses and what do your lapses lead to? It's almost like golf, right? Like, the famous quote in golf is not about how good you are. It's about how good your bad is, right? The best golfers in the world are the best bad players, because it's based on what's your floor. Right. And so basically our floor right now, or at least in the last few weeks, has been, okay, we might be able to get 2 goals. We might be able to get 3 goals. But at the same time, I'm going to have moments in this game where I can't do anything in the midfield. And I need to make sure that I don't give away the ball sloppily. And if I do, I have to get back. And right now, that's what our bad moment is. And it's the same bad moment in every game, which, again, I think is also another positive. Like, it's not like we're being hit with a flurry of different issues and there's, a whole enigma that we have to decipher. It's like, no, the issue is pretty clear. We're having difficulty controlling games in midfield. And then when we try to force control, we're giving away the ball sloppily. And when we give away the ball sloppily, we're conceding opportunities by having runners get into dangerous positions. It's very one-dimensional, right? So you know, I think both things can be true at the same time, and I think it's just a matter of like how you view the game itself.
Can I just say
Listen,
one
guys.
thing on that? Can
Go
I
on,
just say
Kate,
one
and
thing
then
on that?
I'll do the next
I,
one.
I think as well, look, I think as a fan base, I think we need to realize that we're not in 2019, 2020. I know we're top of the league and we're clear by 7 points and we've scored more goals than everyone else, and I get that. And we're like, what, second best team in conceding goals? This isn't that team. This isn't that team. This isn't the team with Mane, Bobby, and Salah. It isn't the team with that midfield. Like, it just isn't. We haven't got that Trent anymore. We haven't got that Robbo anymore. Okay? We need to just understand that we are a team that has finished 5th and 3rd in the last 2 years. And now we are top with pretty much the same team. Okay? So he's managed to get a massive tune out of players that weren't great last year. Like, Cody Gakpo wasn't great. You know,
Missed him today.
Gravenberch wasn't great. Like, Szoboszlai wasn't great for 6 months. Like, Salah wasn't great for 6 months. Like, so he's managed to get a tune out of players which weren't brilliant last year. And we have to just accept that and be happy about it, because we still are 7 points clear. And as much as Arsenal can sit there with their Twitter following saying, I'm not worried, they were quite lucky to get a win against Leicester. Like, Leicester had chances in that game and they relied on a sub. We probably could have relied on a better sub in the last couple of games, but we didn't. So that's all I'm saying. Like,
No, listen, that's fair. Guys in the chat, love for the love as well, man. If you're here, consider dropping a like, man. There's nearly over 100 of you on both platforms, so it'd be great if you guys do. And if you guys are here to subscribe as well, so you don't miss the content, please consider doing so as well. Next question, man. This one, I was thinking about it because I was watching the Everton game and then seeing this one. I want to know, do you guys think? Because the way I look at it, I'm looking at the Everton game. We put a lot into that one, from a mental aspect and physical aspect, because of how the game was going, right? The mental part comes in a bit more to the end of the game because you're winning it, and then the added time and then the red cards and whatever, we concede a late goal and you're like, that's 3 points we kind of gave up, especially then seeing after that Arsenal go and win their game late on against Leicester. We're coming into this game and I see, obviously over the social media, people like, nah, the team looks a bit fatigued. They look a bit lethargic. And for me, I think it was more of a mental thing today more than a physical thing. I think from the Everton game, because they didn't win it and then seeing Arsenal win, they were like, we have to win this one by any means possible. And then going 2-0 up, being like, right, we're doing well. I think a bit of, what's the word I want to use, man? I don't know if you said they were a bit scared because they're like, a bit worried because we're like, we're 2-0 up, guys. We were 2-1 up in the last game. Then we conceded late. Do you know what I mean? Now they saw Wolves score, and then in their mind, they're like, oh my days, like, are we going to draw this one 2-2? So I want to know from you guys' point of view, do you think the performance today was more from a mental fatigue, or is it more physical fatigue from what you guys saw?
Mental, 100% mental. We were creating our own problems. How many times did we give away ball? How many times did we give away the ball in midfield from the 70th to 90th minute? How many times did we go on an attacking run without I mean, I don't even want to say plan because we're a transition team, but like there was just no cohesiveness. It was just McAllister running to the left corner and crossing it into the center back. There's no one there. Like, why don't you just like, hey, hold on. I've done this 3 times in a row. Maybe I should stop
doing it. Yeah.
Take a turn, and then I'll see if Robbo's there. And if he's not there, maybe I'll see if Szoboszlai's there. And if he's not there, then okay, you know what? Fine. I've already X'd out 2 options. Time to hurl one in. I just think that today it was not Wolves being good. Today was us creating trouble for ourselves, which I think a lot of times is the formula for Liverpool dropping points. Yes, sometimes other teams out-physical us. Newcastle did a brilliant job at that. Brighton did a very good job at that. But the majority of the time, it's little mental mistakes that we're making, whether it's going too quick or going too slow. And I think, ultimately, like when I look at that pitch, I'm like, no one is hobbling, no one is panting for the life of them. It's just we're making mental errors and we're putting ourselves in poor positions. And then because we're now in poor positions, everyone looks like they're exerting 1,000% more effort, but that's because we're getting caught out. And the only way you get caught out is through a mental mistake. So I think to me, it's definitely mental. I mean, also these players have been rotated very well. I mean, he took off Trent at the 60th minute. Konate only played one half. Jota only played one half, even though I'm sorry, he played like 70 minutes. But even though, I mean, you want to talk about poor performances, the fact that he's not getting more stick for diving rather than finishing that off. But I was told that he's our best 9. I was told that once Jota comes back, the 9 won't be a problem. I don't know about you guys, but Jota's a ghost. So I think it also, this is just one more thing. This stat blew my mind. For people to really understand how one-dimensional this team is, which again, I do think affects the mentality of the players, especially going forward. We're so reliant on Mo Salah this season that Mo Salah has the same amount of Premier League GA in, 25 games, 26 games this season than Luis Diaz does in 91 appearances for his entire career at Liverpool. Luis Diaz got one ahead of him today, but then, of course, Mo Salah had to come back and kick a penalty in. So now they're both on 37 GA, but that's one season. Actually, not even one season. That's 3/4 of a season versus 91 games. Like, that's a mental problem. If I need to be that reliant on someone, which I think has to affect the players.
Yeah, I could really lead on to that, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think it's a mental thing.
From today's performance in general, like looking across from the Everton game to this one.
But like, that's what I don't. My issue with that is that we won the game, so it's difficult really to say. But basically, I don't like the fact that that's an excuse. Everton game for me shouldn't have anything to do with today's game. Because if we're not saying it's a physical issue and it's just a mental issue, that's on the players. Like, sort it out then. Like, I have zero sympathy for you. If it was a physical issue, I would understand. Because then you could say, right, you know what? You know, we had players, you know, who've been injured. I get that. And of course, as Mike alluded to earlier on, I can't analyze mental. Like, how can we do that? I don't know what that looks like. And I can't, no one can analyze someone's mental thing. But when I think about it, I'm like, nah, you guys are just complacent. You guys fought at 2-0 that you guys were good. That was my issue. Like, you played like it. Whether maybe it came into your thought process, but by the point that Wolves actually scored the goal, they had already had that chance anyway. And as I said, we went 2-0 up and Wolves didn't look out of it anyway. So it's not like they looked completely out of it and then they just randomly scored and then you're like, oh shit, is it going to be deja vu? Bro, like, they were playing they weren't playing great, but they were playing well enough for you to be like, yeah, this game isn't dead. Like, this doesn't look like it's a dead game. Like, it looks like if Wolves can nick a goal somewhere, then yeah, cool. That's why I'm like, I don't like all of this. Yeah, like even Slot, and like I said, I like the way he speaks at times, but I didn't like when he was talking in the press conference, talking about, yeah, it's a mental thing. The Everton, he kept bringing up Everton game. I was like, I don't want to hear that from you.
Dude, no, that's crazy. I didn't watch that press conference. I still haven't watched it. He mentioned the Everton game.
He also said that he thought that we looked physically tired today. Like, he said that
but that would make more sense than saying
for sure.
Do you get what I'm saying? As opposed, because then I'm like,
strong stance.
Yeah, like look, mental thing. Like, bro, you were 2-0 up. Look, you got complacent. And that was it.
Look, the thing about that, which we're not really putting into the equation, is that was Slot's first derby, and his first derby was the last ever game at Goodison Park. Like,
he was also robbed. I hate to say it.
That's a real tough one. Like, that is a real tough one to get as your first derby. Is the last one ever at Goodison.
He would have been the first Liverpool manager to win at Goodison Park in his first appearance at Goodison Park.
It's really, really tough. And to be honest, he was like, what, a couple of seconds away? Like, you know, that's a real gut punch. And that happened on Wednesday.
A couple seconds over, actually. It was a couple seconds over.
No, we had that conversation.
Okay, so
but also, one of the things, G, is I also felt that our team didn't actually believe that they were winning 2-0 because we didn't do anything in that game in the first half, and we were 2-0 up. Like we were just winning, and I was watching it going, how is this 2-0? Like we haven't done anything in this game. Like no one's really done anything in the game, and we've managed to get 2 goals. And they probably went in at half time just like a bit like, what? Like, what's just happened this first half? And they took the foot off the gas. And if that happens, then a team gets control. And we've also played 2 teams that are in the relegation battle. Like Everton were battling for relegation, Wolves were battling for relegation, and these are teams that predominantly we'd probably lose to in a Jurgen Klopp team. And he's still got a lot of Jurgen Klopp players who have mentality, have got that mindset. So to be able to get, like I said, to be able to get 4 points out of those 2 games, I think is really good. Like really, like considering how badly we played.
But the thing is that it's like we can be critical, but at the same time,
that's not how we are. Liverpool aren't a team that win games playing badly. That's never been our ammo. Like never been our ammo.
It's just like, from my perspective, if we had won that Everton game and Michael Oliver didn't have his head up his butt, we would not be sitting here saying the same things, right? It would be more like, okay, today was not a good performance. But I think it's just like, I think that the Everton result has amplified the criticisms of the team a little bit. Obviously, there's other results this season, like, starting off the year with the draw against United in the fashion that we did, and then dropping points to Newcastle in the fashion that we did. I don't really care about the Champions League loss. I don't care about the FA Cup loss, even though it's bad. And obviously the Spurs one doesn't. The Spurs one is meaningless because we're in the final. But I think it's just a little bit of reservation based on our history and the past years and the past title charges, and a combination of just recency bias, if that makes sense. Because if we had won that game against Everton 2-1 and then we had won this game 2-1, the narrative would be, okay, even when we're not playing well, we're getting the 3 points. We got them in both weeks. We won at Goodison Park. This is our season. But that one lapse creates such a seed of doubt, if that kind of makes sense. I don't know if you guys feel this.
I think it's more to do with what the other side of the punditries are saying and stuff like that, bringing up stats about Diaz. We know that he hasn't scored in 2025, but then they add in that doubt. They go into the Goodison one. It's their last game, so they build off of that. But you're right. Like in this moment in time when we're trying to go and win the title, that would have been a 2-1. We take down goal. You know what? This is a sign of champions. I think the headline changes. That's a sign of champions. Go to Goodison Park in relegation, blah, blah, blah. And they come out with a 2-1. Then the week after that, they play the game 4 days later, 3 days later, whatever it is, and they go and win 2-1. And, they had to fight. They had to fight and dug in to try and get the 3 points. You're right that the headlines will be completely different. And I think a lot of what's happening at that moment, because they want to create this title race, and I don't want it to happen. I want us to take it in our own hands and deal with it. But they want to create it, so there's always going to be that doubt and seed. They're gonna keep planting these little seeds. They're gonna keep planting these little seeds in the Liverpool fan, and then we're gonna create these mad conversations. Like today, we're having a great conversation, but there's gonna be like at one point they will create, if we draw or drop points, like the Villa one, they're gonna make it into one of the biggest game ever. They'll be like, Liverpool have to win today.
They don't want to play that game though. Villa do not want to fucking play us.
What's going to happen, bro? And I think we have to learn how to navigate these situations.
Yeah,
we've done it in the past, but we've only done it once because we've only won the league title once in the last 30. We've played a lot of games and we finished on like high, points total. But to navigate it, we've only done it once and crossed that finish line. So, but we have a team full of new young players in there. There's some players that's not good enough that's in there. And then we've got the old sergeants that's trying to push us through. And the games like the Everton one, you look at it and go, boys, you could have done better. And then today's one, you're like, we're not playing well. Can we dig in? Can we find a way to win? Like, it's unacceptable not to have a shot in the second half at home. But at the end of the day, the whole point of a football match is to win, score more than the opposition and keep the other one out. So the plus sides and the negative sides, but we can't then, and I don't think we go into the next game and don't have a shot. I'm not gonna just.
We're better away from home anyway.
Yeah, I'm not gonna build on that lot. Like it's crazy that we didn't in the second half at home. But I know going into the Villa one, we're gonna have shots, bro. So I can't just go, right, this is a problem. We're not we didn't shoot in the second half. I just know it's just isolated for today's game. Going to the Villa one, we'll have shots whether we win it or not. I don't know, but
just one more final point. I think another thing, because like the whole PTSD narrative, another thing that doesn't make sense to me is like, were you guys watching the same title challenge, the title charges as me? Every time we finished second, we were the one who was chasing City. Bar last season, which I think we fell off at a point where I wouldn't even excuse that as being like the leading favorite. What did we have, like a 3-point lead? And it ended up falling. We were chasing City. We were down 12 points and we came back. We were down 14 points and we came back. We were down X amount of points and we came back. This is like uncharted territory. We have not been the team 7 points up with 12 games to go. I mean, maybe last season we were, but then of course it got slimmer. Well, yeah, but again, we didn't have a chaser, right? Like I wouldn't even call that a race. We won the title in March. Like that was the year.
January, I knew we had it.
Because we ended up losing to Watford 3-2, and that's like, all right, Invincibles is over, but I'm lifting the trophy next week, so who really cares? So we're in uncharted waters. Like we have not been the team to lead the pack, and the further that bridge gets, I think the less and less people will start looking back to the prior title races. But I don't even think it's a like for like scenario, because we were always chasing City, and that's less pressure. Like, I'm the one who's chasing you. You're the one who's not supposed to bottle it. I have the advantage here. Now we don't have the advantage. I just think it's two different situations.
I also think as well, which people aren't really talking about. We win our home games, we win the league. It's that simple. Because we have Arsenal at home. That's like 6 points. Like we win our home games, we win the league. And guess what? We win our home games a lot. Like we just need to do our job at home, and we're home and host. And he's got the best record out of anybody at away games. Like I'm pretty much sure we got like a 90% record.
Did you see Villa's last game yesterday against Ipswich Town? It looked anything but convincing.
What was you going to say, G, before we move on to the next topic?
No. It's just what you guys are saying, right? So I got 3 points. I just thought of them. The first one is to your actual question about the mental thing, So what K-Mac said about us being 2-0 up, that's why I don't excuse, like, that's why I can't use it as an excuse. It's not a reason for me. That's not a reason, because you were 2-0 up in the game. So it can't be a mental thing where, like, it would have been more of a mental thing if we started the game poorly, Wolves, just playing out of their skin, and then you can use that as an excuse to say, we're still thinking about Everton, man. Like we haven't really we were 2-0 up. Like it's not like we were 1-0 down. Like we were 2-0 up heading into that second half. Yes, Wolves didn't look like they were out of it, but we were 2-0 up. So when we talk about the mental thing, I'm like, so what? You guys let Wolves score one goal and all of a sudden just flip. Come on, man. Like you gotta be serious, right? So that was the one thing. Like that's why I said I don't. To Mike, I think Mike said it. Like for me, if you said physical, I would understand, but mental, I'm like, I'm not using that as an excuse, man. Like forget all of that. That's why I didn't like when Slot spoke about it, because I was like, shut up, man. I don't want to hear that. Like just we won the game. I'd just rather you just didn't even mention Everton at all, because that doesn't make sense to how the game actually panned out, which is you went 2-0 up in the game. Like where would the mental issue have come in? Like that don't even make sense.
And then you got worse.
And then you got worse. And the other point was for what Mike said about you just talking there about like the title stuff and people talking about PTSD, right? The reality is Mike's right, because like we have one title, we have nothing to base this off. So we're not a City, we're not a Man United, we're not an Arsenal, even Chelsea. When we have nothing to base this off outside of that one title, which we were, as Enz was right, I was with you, bro. I thought even when we lost to Watford, I was like, bro, I've lifted the title anyway. I don't care.
We had like
an
18-point lead with 10 games to go.
Exactly. Like, so from when I've got nothing to base this off, obviously, and this is why I don't get why people always get onto other people. I'm like, well, obviously people are going to go back to the previous season, which is last season, because that's the only thing that you could probably maybe use because it's the most recent. But outside of that, Liverpool failed every single time. So what can I base this off to at least even say, you know what, we did like Manchester United, for example, if they ever get back to winning ways, and obviously the current team wouldn't have been there, but if they were ever to do that, at least them as a club can at least be like, as fans, they can be like, bro, we've been in here before. We've done this. Man City, if they get back to winning ways, they can sit there and say, we've won the league in so many different ways. We've won the league in one way, which is blitz everybody, and that's it. So we don't know what this even looks like. We don't know if is this a way to win the league? Is this gonna? Of course, people are gonna be upset, and they're gonna be like PTS. Of course, like that's the only logical thing that you're going to have. Like, what else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to be like, yeah, well, remember back in the 1980s, I wasn't born, so I don't know what that looks like in terms of winning league titles. All I know is we failed every time. So to me, we might fail again because the reality is that's what we're actually good at doing. We're not good at winning. We're good at failing. So
You know what? You're so right with that as well. And you know what's doing my head in is listening to the commentators keep on saying, oh, yeah, but Liverpool have got players. They know how to do it. They know how to do it. I'm like,
no, we don't.
No, we don't.
We've never been in a competitive. We've never won a title in a competitive season.
No,
ever.
I'm like, no, we don't.
And the Champions League, we know how to get to the final, but again, we only won one of those.
Yeah,
1 and 4.
The third point that I wanted to make was actually on like, it's so interesting, the way that like we will talk about like players and mental fatigue or physical fatigue and whatnot. And I think Mike, you mentioned about missing Gakpo and stuff like that. It's just funny because remember, as I said to you in a few streams ago, the forward line that we had at that time is not going to be the forward line that we finished the season with. What's now happening is that we've reached a stage where everybody wants something different. And the reason why I say all of this is, as much as everyone can say, or if you want to say Liverpool been great this season, I've got no, of course, like we're top of the league. Like we've clearly been, we've been good, right? The reality is, if you asked everybody in the chat and everybody here on the panel, count how many players you would sell from this team. Does that scream like a team that you feel is good? If you are willing to say, I would let this player go, this player go, this player go, this player go. And I probably think, and I'm just guessing, most of us have about at least 5 to 6 players, first team players, not like youth players, first team players that you'd be like, I'll let go of this guy ASAP. That doesn't scream to me when I've seen Manchester United, they would never sit there and say, I'll let go of these 6 players. They're only going if they really, really have to go. Like, as in, like, we've done everything. I just want to play.
Keep that in mind. I want because one of my questions.
You can do better.
One second, keep that in mind, though, G. I want to keep that because I got the question as well. But big up to Adil for subscribing to the channel. Love for the love. But it's similar. But I'll let you guys take it away and see what you think, right? Because there's a lot of it stems from your conversation, you and Jerry, as well, about trusting players, right? We don't trust Wataru enough in terms of like playing him and letting him come in to see games out. Quansah ain't trusted enough. Today's not going to be the game where they're going to tell me Quansah is back, even though
he's the man of the match, though. He's the one. He's the one
who's
going to win.
I know what people are going to start saying is, "Oh, he's back to his best now." I know that's what's going to happen, right? So them two ain't trusted enough. They don't trust Tsimikas to back up to Robbo, and we've seen the conversation. Bradley's even a question at times when I'm trying to like, nah, I'm cool with Bradley playing. Man, they're like, nah, I don't know about. He's not Trent. I'm like, yeah, I don't expect him to be Trent. Well, who else is in there? Curtis, they don't. No, I won't use Curtis. I'm going to use Elliot. Elliot. We don't trust Chiesa. We don't trust even Diaz as well. He's
no. Chiesa don't even try. That's Slot doesn't trust Chiesa.
Yeah, Darwin should be the number one on that.
Do you think we should trust these players more though, bro? Because we're watching the game today and like, bro, Chiesa could have come on and played today. You know what I mean? You could have brought him on. What is Elliot like? What's going on? Is he not can't play football now? What's going on? But why doesn't
Chiesa could have come on?
You guys think Slot needs to trust the players more? Does he need to trust the players more?
Salah looked cooked last 10 minutes.
I think that. Listen, unfortunately, we're now at the stage where no one has the luxury of choice anymore, right? Like it's like you have what you have. These are the tools. There are no there's nothing else that you can do. if he doesn't trust the players now, I would say, okay, there's no way that the last 17 days was the time that you said, okay, I don't trust him anymore. Like, if you don't trust him on February 16th, you didn't trust him on January 16th, because nothing has happened with any of these fringe players that would have changed your mind. So you could have rectified that problem. Now, given, the position that we're in today, I don't think we really have a choice. Like, I think that you have to trust them. I think that for the sake of rotation, for the sake of longevity, and just for the sake of like spicing a game up. Like today, if you're on your heels, right? Spice it up. Like, that's all you can do. You have two options. Either dig in and continue to do the same thing and hope that the same result continues and they don't score, or take the risk, put the reins in your hand and say, listen, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die I'm going to die with my sword in my hand. I'm not going to die with my sword on my back. I'm going to go for it, right? Like, i.e., you didn't have to bring on Jota. You could have brought on Endo against Everton, right? Yeah. Endo would not have played the ball to Salah, which Salah could score. On that day, he didn't. On another day, he bins that, right? Brighton, he bins that, top bins, game over. But if Endo's on, it's a riskier move in the sense that I'm going defensive, but the odds that it pans out, much greater. Plus, if it does work, all of a sudden, I now have a new tool in my bag that I can trust going forward. Chiesa, I don't know. I think some of these players, it's like, whether it be health or whether it just be the fact that they're new to the club, I don't know if I can make that argument for should he give Chiesa a chance. I think Harvey Elliott just doesn't work hard enough for him. Like, I can't really, because like clearly everyone who plays midfield for us has to have defensive work rate. Curtis Jones has defensive work rate. So does Gravenberch. So does Szoboszlai. So does Endo. So does fucking McConnell. Harvey Elliott doesn't really have defensive work rate. I think that's why that he's not in there. It's just a profile thing. But, we're getting to that stage of the season where you have to play these players. You have to take these risks. You have to rotate. Unless you want to just bin everything else. You want to just throw away the Carabao Cup and you want to throw away the Champions League and you just want to play one game a week, then fine. Play the same 11 players. I got no ish, but I don't want to do that. So, whether or not he wants to, I think he has to. I don't think it's a debate. You need to trust these players in moments to come onto the pitch. And if they're not working, well, again, I'm gonna look back. If Darwin Núñez comes on and doesn't get a shot, but no one else had a shot, I'm not going to say to myself, Darwin Núñez was poor today. I'm going to say everyone was shit, and Darwin didn't affect the game because no one could get him the ball. So, if that kind of makes sense, we're being forced to have to make these decisions now. And Slot made it today. Hopefully, he continues to do so.
It's like what I said, though, isn't it? We've only played each team once, so I think he's learning as well. And I don't think he's the type of guy to make the same mistake twice. Against Everton, we were like, no, Jota wasn't the sub to make. Wataru was. Today, he was like, I better learn from that mistake because I realized I needed a closer. I needed someone to come in and close the game out for me. Who knows? He might not even have worked against Everton, but it possibly could as well. It was a better sub than putting on a striker. We didn't need a forward-thinking player. We just needed to kind of just hold, lock down the fort a bit. But what do you guys think, G and K, man, about trusting these players? Bear in mind, I'm not asking you about your personal opinion on the players. I'm just saying about the manager in general. Looking at these players, we're trying to go and win the title, but it feels at times like he don't even want to give the man them even 10, 15 minutes in a game, bro. He's just, just sit on the bench, man, and smile, bro. That's all we care about. Don't worry about it. Who wants to take that?
Yeah. He just doesn't like. He's telling you, like, without telling you, I guess, that he just doesn't really rate some of the play. And the thing is, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna kill you about it. Like, especially if I don't rate the player as well. Kind of works for my own agenda. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's new. Like, what's funny? I was just looking now while Mike was talking. Like, Núñez scores the winner against Brentford. 7 games since then, he's only started twice. Like, there's a reason for that. Jota in that time has only just come back from injury. Why? He doesn't trust Núñez to be his striker for whatever reason. And that's in itself is fine. I've got no beef with that kind of thing because he's brought Núñez on in every single game or he's either started or come on in the game since, right? But he's only started twice, which tells you everything you need to know about players like that, like the Harvey Elliott's, the Endos. Endo, another one, great for 10 minutes. 90, I ain't trying to see that. You ain't going to be good enough for me for 90 minutes. But for 10 minutes or for 19 minutes today, as an example, I think Liverpool gave him the man of the match. Yeah. Ran around, got some fouls. I don't think it was that great. I'm with K-Mac. I don't think it was that great, but you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. He did more than what the other midfielders were doing, especially in that second half, right? So it's just one of those kind of things. So maybe he just looks at it as he's got his lieutenants that he trusts in the team, and he feels like this is my best way of winning a game. But of course, if they can't play, if they are injured or coming back from injury, I almost feel like he almost feels like, oh, man, I am forced to play this guy. Because sometimes I sit there and think, like, you really would play Quansah right back before you thought about Gomez, like, that time. All right, fair. Like, okay, like, if that's what you feel, I'm not gonna get mad at you. But these are your decisions, right? So I can't remember who made the comment, but ultimately, then I can't expect certain players to just come in and just be this, like, yeah, I'm a normal first. It's not going to work, innit? Like, you're not going to be able to perform at them kind of levels, but we're almost expecting them. Listen, man, Slot's telling you who he rates, who he doesn't rate. He's been doing it all season. And I think now it's just really about, like, some of these players, I've said it, and I know, obviously, don't say use my own personal thing, but he's telling you some of these players are just not good enough for me to start over the ones who are already there, as an example, right? So that's fine. Like, every team in world football, that happens. Danny Ceballos wouldn't be playing if Real Madrid had all their players back available. But guess what? The players are injured, so Ceballos has got to come in. That's in a world-class team. This ain't a world-class team. So the reality is there's going to be players who he just feels, this is my 11 and that is that. And we're just going to keep it moving. Like, it's fine. Like, you need your bench players. Like, you can't just play 11 players. But I do agree there are moments where he misjudges the situation. So you guys mentioned Everton and, you know, Jota, Endo, whatever, like, stuff like that. He does misjudge it. He does. Like, he's a normal guy. He's a human being. He's going to make mistakes in that kind of regards. But he just needs to be careful that over the course of the rest of the season, you don't just, you know, accidentally start doing the wrong thing too much. And then you leave yourself in a position where now you're asking a guy who hasn't touched pitch for about, like, Chiesa for like 10 games or whatever it is that he's barely played. And then you're going to say to him, I need you to start today. Need about 60, 70 minutes from me, and I need you to perform. What?
Yeah, he's like, what?
Like, perform? Like, I haven't touched pitch for how long? And you want me to just... And the thing is, as fans, we're quite fickle. I do the same thing. Like, I'll criticize Chiesa, though. If he has a shit game in the next game, I'm going to criticize him. But that really, I shouldn't, because he doesn't play. And the manager couldn't even give K-Max right. Salah was fucking piss poor in that second half. And you didn't even bring Chiesa on for, like, what, 10 minutes? Like, you couldn't even give him a 5-10 minute run out. You just said, forget it, man. I'm just going to keep Salah on the pitch.
He said,
that's disrespectful. That is so disrespectful. Like, but listen, man, Slot's the manager. He's top of the league. He knows more than I do. I'll tell you that, man.
The thing about Slot as well is this is his ammo. Like, he only has 15 players who play over 3,000 minutes a season. Like, that's his ammo. Like, he very rarely uses the rest of his squad. So, and if you just look at the way he's managed Liverpool, like, the players who've got the most time off the bench is a midfielder, a forward, a winger, and that's it. Like, genuinely, that's it. He doesn't play the left backs. He doesn't play the defenders. No, the defenders have only come on because of injuries. Like they've not come on because of or someone's got a yellow card. He's not like, okay, he brought on fair enough. He took Quansah off and he never seen the light of day again for a long time. Okay, that's a fair one. But yeah, he's telling us without telling us who's going to be at the club next year. And there's quite a few players that are going to be at the club next year. If you are playing your winger as your central striker, when you have a central striker as the number 9, you're telling your number 9, you're not good enough, mate.
K-Mac, I thought as well, Jota and Nunes has been fit, and I didn't understand that, K-Mac. Why? Like, Diaz is playing.
He's telling them. He's telling
But
them
Jota was poor. Like if
No, I
the
get
Jota
that,
performance
I
today.
get it.
Mike, we get that, but they're fit, bro.
Mike,
Like
if
they're
Cody-
fit.
No, trust me, I know. I was shocked.
Diaz
I was
playing
shocked.
as the 9 today. Like, that's just a fact. Like whether we like it
but,
or not.
I also think it's a little bit of a damnation on Luis Diaz, because if Slot says I don't trust the 9s, but also I would prefer you to not be at left wing, that also tells me that he's not backing you in your best position. Because if I'm pulling you off to play my backup left winger, that means that I don't trust you on the left side, which means that if I have a surplus there and someone's going to give me 60 million for you, I don't need a 60 million pound rotational bench player for my left wing position, when I could take that 60 million and I could apply it to a striker like Isak. It's like, okay, if I sell Luis Diaz and I sell Darwin Núñez, I can basically buy you for free. Plus, I already have all this money. Plus, I already have a surplus. So now I'm almost like trading stocks here, if that makes sense. I think it's what's it called? It's a negative both. It's a negative for Jota, Núñez, but it's also a negative for Luis Diaz.
Big up to Jerry. Hey, one of the mods, time him out, man. Give him a little timeout.
Yeah, we say what? Because he spoke. He spoke his
time
opinion.
out. You got time out.
Why? Because he mentioned his opinion about food. And
we're talking about football. I don't care about his opinion on food.
But he's just giving you his opinion on food. I don't understand.
I don't care.
Hey, freedom of speech, people. You know what I mean? If you don't like rice and peas, say it.
This is my last question though. We got what, 13 games left? Is it 13 games? I want to say.
Yeah, 13.
So we got 13 games left. That's crazy, I thought, look, that's not a lot of games. Let's be honest, that's not a lot of games left.
That's why I said
we've got 13 games left.
So it's
how many more
wins?
How many more wins do we really need to win this Prem? How many more wins?
Exactly. The most amount of points.
Eight home games. We win all our home games. 8 games left at home.
The maximum. I'm gonna have to bring out my as Hussam would say. I'm about to bring out my $1,000 calculator. The maximum amount of points that we can finish on is 99. The maximum amount that Arsenal can finish on is 92. Based on the games that we have remaining, I would say that the most difficult ones are the ones that are coming up in the next 2 weeks, plus Arsenal. So Arsenal at home, difficult game. Villa away, just making it difficult based on history. And obviously the Etihad. If you drop points in those 3 games, if those are 3 draws, but one of those being to Arsenal, that's technically only 4 points dropped, right? Because, I don't have to explain that. But so 4 points dropped, that's still 95 points, and that would still make you finish 4 points ahead of Arsenal, because Arsenal would also drop 2 points because of the fact that they drew to us. So realistically, out of 12 games, I think if you win 8, that gives you like a 90% chance of winning the league. I think if you win 9, it's guaranteed. If you win 9 of these 12 games, the league is done, because Arsenal they are not going to go 13 for 13, especially since we play them. As long as that game's a draw, at the minimum, Arsenal cannot catch us. So 9 games, it's a for sure thing. 8 games, I'm like, all right, I'm 95% of the way there. I've got 1 foot in, but I don't know. 9 would be my number. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but the calculator sometimes has to do a lot of calculations.
Before I get G's and KMax one, big up to the beer man. So let's learning and earn points using Endo. He has, bro. He learned from his mistake from the Everton game, decided to put him in this one, see the game out. Definitely has.
I mean, you've seen the game out at 65 minutes.
He said, "Nah, lock up the shot."
He literally had a massive panic attack on the touchline.
Yeah, he said, "No, can't have this." But what are you guys thinking? And how many games do we need? How many games more we need to get this across the line? 13 games left. Let's just break it down. Who's going, G?
I'm trying to calculate it, man.
You say 5? You think
So you think the next, so after the Everton game, you think that's done because we got what, Villa? Is it Villa, Man City, Southampton,
Newcastle,
Everton. That's the next
You
5.
think we can win the league
you say Southampton?
Yeah, they're in there as well. Southampton.
Yeah, I think if we win all our games and the game which we've got next month, like one game next month, and then one more, I think that's it done.
Yeah. Are you saying 5-2 in the title or 5 in total?
Wait, we have one. Did you just say we have one game in March?
We only have one
game in March.
Yeah, one Premier League game in March.
Only one game.
Southampton.
Give us 5
the cup is in that as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
the cup
Cups
final.
and Champions League. Cup,
And that's
Champions League, and Southampton.
But Premier League, we only have one game in that.
Yeah, because there's also the
mad.
international break.
It's mad.
But if we only won 5 more games and we drew the rest, we would finish on 83 points. I don't think 83 points is winning the league.
No, I think it's done. Like, I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about them. Them just not being able to win.
So if we win our next 5, you think that it'll just be too much?
We play Aston Villa before Arsenal play as well, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. So we'd be on 10 points if we 10 points lead if we win the next game.
Aston Villa. So that'll put us 10 points. And then who's Arsenal got? West Ham or something like that.
I'll tell you in a second.
West Ham or Fulham, I think.
They have West Ham. So actually, that's not true. Arsenal are playing West Ham on Saturday, but then next Wednesday they play Forest away. And I don't know if
really hard games back to back. By the way,
I don't know if we have a Premier League game next Wednesday.
Yeah, we've got Newcastle, haven't we?
What time?
Okay, we do. Yeah. So why is this doesn't make sense? Why are we picking up a game on Arsenal for seemingly no reason? Arsenal's not playing in the cups, or
we wanted this Villa game. Early. We asked for it. We actually asked for this Villa game because Villa didn't want it.
Are we the only team that's playing on that day? I'm just confused. Is like at the schedule.
We're doing 2 Wednesdays. 3 Wednesdays in a row, which is mad, but we are.
Man, have to get these games. We have to tick these games off, man.
I think he just wants to win the league by.
Just tick these games off. How many did you say? G, you said you're working it out on the calculator. What are you saying?
No, I wasn't even trying to work. I was just trying to think. Like, I think when it gets to, I think by the 34th game we will know. I think you'll need to wait until that point because technically speaking, I don't know when we have Arsenal. Like, I don't know how many games that is until
third to last. It's the third to last game of the season.
There you go. So I think May 10th. I think it'll be more like by that time, if 34. So the 35th game, 35th? Yeah, 36 game.
It would be game week 36.
Yeah, game week 36. So I think by game week 34, we'll know. We'll know by that point whether or not it's either just done or we're still looking at the Arsenal game thinking, shit, we need to get a victory just to ease things up by that point.
Look, if we beat Villa on Wednesday, we go 10 points clear. Psychologically, that is going to absolutely destroy you. It is because you've then got their forward line, as in Raheem Sterling, Ethan Nwaneri, I can't say his name properly, and Trossard, who've scored a grand total of what? I don't know, 10 goals between them all season. They literally sat there going, hang on a minute, we got to win every single game. Literally every single game. Middle of March.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to want
the other thing with him as well, bro. I was looking at what the doctor said to him. If he rushes himself back, he could have a lasting effect on his career. So he has to don't rush himself back to try and play because that could just go again, and then it's a long day for him. That will just cut that speed down to naught, bro.
Could you imagine could you imagine they rush him back, they lose the league, and then they lose him for all of next season? Oh my god,
that'll be mental.
The fallout.
I think we just got
not only that. Not only that, if they rush him back, they could end up with a different player. Like they could end up with a. We did that to one of our players, didn't we? Was it? I can't think of who that's happened to. Who's that happened to? Was it Sturridge, Owen?
Nah, they tend to come back and just hit the ground.
They just lose their pace. Like he's lost his pace for life.
Like, Torres did it a couple of times for us, and he lost a bit.
Lost his pace for life.
We just need to win. Just win our games.
Take care of our games.
Like it's difficult trying to
one game season.
When you know what I mean. It's difficult trying to judge it. Like we're at this point, so I'm like, maybe by game week 4, but for all I know, it might go down to the last 2 games of the season. Like we could lose 3 of our next 4. Like I don't know. So I'll just take it game by game, see how it goes. I don't think us beating Villa would. It shouldn't really do too much. I don't feel like they should look at it like that.
It's 10 points.
That's with us playing a game. They've still got a game in hand. So technically speaking, they know that as long as you just win,
the game in hand against Forest away.
You know what it is, though, G? I'll take the win, bro. I'll take the extra game.
No. I'm saying not from our perspective, about Arsenal, from their perspective,
like the okay. Let's just do it this way. Working backwards to front. Right, we have 13 games left. Does anyone here think that we're dropping points to Crystal Palace at home? Probably not. So that's one. No. I don't think that we're going to drop points to Brighton away.
I ain't answering no questions, bro.
I don't think that we're going to drop points.
I ain't answering no questions until we get to that point. I don't know.
To Brighton away. Arsenal. Okay, Arsenal at home. That's one game I feel like we can drop points. I'm talking like over let's just call it like over a 75% chance. I feel like we'll win. If it's under 75% chance, I'd say, okay, this is a game to worry about. I think Arsenal, I'm not worried about Chelsea away or Tottenham. I think Newcastle at home. I think City away. And I think Villa away. So there's 4 games on this where I have less than a 75% confidence of winning. The rest of what would that be? 9. I feel like there's an over 75% chance of winning. And if you just take it one game season at a time, especially with I would rather us overload this on the front end and then drop points at the end. Like drop points to Chelsea away, drop points to Arsenal at home, drop points to Crystal Palace on the last day. Because if you win these games, if you win these next 5 games,
they don't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's weird to think about it, but I think the best mentality is just we have 13 seasons. There are 13 one-game seasons. The winner takes home the title. That's how you have to think about it. You win 13 seasons, you get a Premier League trophy. Every game is its own season.
I will also say most games,
right? We knock down every game and we get to a point where they're like we're running out of games to get these points back.
Yeah,
that's when it's going to play a toll on Arsenal. So, for an example, I think we do well in the next 5. I'm agreeing with what Mike's saying, right? We do well in the
4 out of 5 wins, easy money.
I think they will be like, okay, so we have 8 games left, and we now need to. Then now they're like, bro, we need to find a way to get those points down in the next 8 games. And the longer that continues, and we're saying that as if we get them points, they might even drop points within them 5 as well. Same as us.
You guys seen our April
points, they can drop as well.
Have you guys looked at? If you look at what we have in the entire month of April, we have 5 games. 5. I don't say this lightly. 5 100% wins. Everton at home, not a shot. We're dropping points. Fulham away. I know that they're a bogey team, but I don't care. We're not dropping points to Fulham away April 5th. West Ham at home. West Ham are dog water. Leicester City away. Listen, they might have given Arsenal trouble, but Arsenal are missing 90% of their team. And then Tottenham at home. Did anyone watch that game today? That was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen in my life. And the last time they came to us, that was 4 wins. That's a pretty damn easy April. The final lap of the season, and we're given that. So these next 4 games to me are the most pivotal. Win all 4 of them, and you pretty much guarantee yourself a title because that's the easiest April that you could ever ask for leading the league.
I've got to shoot in a bit, guys, but I also wanted to mention as well: are there any teams that score more than 2 goals past us? Because that's what you need to do. You need to score more than 2 goals to get a result against Liverpool. That's it. How many teams are going to score more than 2 goals past Liverpool? That's the question you need to ask yourself, because you have to score more than 2 goals to beat us. And I don't think there's any. I just don't think there's any out there. Maybe Manchester City on a good day. Arsenal, they haven't got enough forwards.
Marmoush is going to... Sabio is going to cook the shit out of Robertson.
Question. Nobody ever asked that question. Like we've been scoring 2 goals pretty much every game. pretty much every game. So you've got to score 3 to win.
But draws are losses at this point in the season. So,
yeah.
And I love the confidence, lads, man. I love the confidence, bro. It's Matt. What you say, Matt? Are you waiting for you guys to be closer to for us to see you back on the show, bro? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I just this is Arsenal's April, and I want you to tell me, based on history form, which one you think was more difficult. I just gave you Liverpool's. Arsenal have Fulham at home, not exactly the greatest history over the last 2 seasons.
They always draw against Fulham.
Everton away, Brentford at home, Ipswich away, Crystal Palace at home, right? To me, I feel like Arsenal have the more difficult April. And if we can just continue, if you keep this at 7 points, right, up until April 1st, that's going to be a monumental mountain that you have to climb. You now have less than 10 games coming up against your bogey teams, while I'm facing what I feel like to be an easier run, and I have a 7-point buffer. People are saying that Liverpool have a more difficult run. I'm like, you're out of your mind. Absolutely out of your mind. Arsenal play bad against bad teams. They play great against good teams. I'm happy that they don't.
It all needs to be as well. I think what we have to look into as well is when are we playing these teams in terms of what position they are in the league to what they're fighting for. For an example, if you're saying Arsenal has to go and play Everton, they might have already got to a position where they're like, we ain't gonna get relegated, so that could be an easier game for Arsenal. For an example, right?
Yeah.
If we then pull them, are they already in the European spots? They'll be like, yeah, that's all right. We're already calm. We'll chill out. And that goes for Russell as well if you have to play them. Then if you're talking about Leicester, where are they? If they need a win to get, that could be a difficult game for us because they might be like, we just need a point today, lads. Let's dig in and we're out of relegation. We might, you know what I mean? Whatever it may be in those moments, I'm just saying. So we have to look at those games and go, right, on paper, we should win them. But at the same time, we need to know where they are because now with them 13 games now, it's who's qualifying for Champions League, who's in the European spots, who's not getting relegated, and then mid-table based on where you finish, the amount of money you probably get, from your position finishing the Premier League. So it's going to be tough, bro. I think we just need to make sure we just look after ourselves. I'm with G. Just look after ourselves, man. Look after ourselves. Concentrate on our games. The next game is Villa. We put everything into that. Then we reset. We look at the Man City one. Fingers crossed. They're mad tired from a slug match against Real Madrid, and they go to extra time, and then they have to go to penalties. Then 3 days later, they have to come and play us. Get in there, get that win, head out, and bounce, bro. That's all I want. I ain't trying to, bro. I don't need 5-0 and that. I just need win and go. Win and go.
No, I'm with you, bro. Like the reality is, just want the 3 points at the end of the day. But it'll be interesting if Liverpool go on to win this league. This would have been a very interesting season. A very, very interesting season. Like I can't wait. I'm actually more excited for next season than I am this season. But I want you to just get the job done. Like get the job done, get the trophy. Because I'm tired of this. Like I can't be now in my 30s and you're telling me I'm still not winning titles. Like it's becoming childish now.
But we need the double, G. We need the double so that we get the extra 100 mil so that we can actually buy who Slot wants. If we get the double, that's more money.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
More money.
Listen,
more money. More transfer targets. I mean, we made 40 mil, but imagine we won the double. What's that? Like an extra 200 million in winning bonuses. Plus, you sell Luis Diaz.
We've already got 100 million. We've already got 100 million off the league.
Plus you have what's it called? We're changing kits, right? So we're going to Adidas, which I'm pretty sure would then mean that you now get that money from Adidas in that financial season.
Do you know what, Mike? I always respect these conversations. Yeah, always do, because I'm always like, yeah, there's money, but we've had this conversation for years, bro, and I never get to see that.
Let me dream. Let me dream.
No, Mike, that's why I said I respect the conversations always, bro, because I'm like, they were like, yeah, we're gonna get 100 million here, winning the Premier League, you get 100 million, winning the Champions League, you get an extra. I'm like, right, there's 300 million. After paying out wherever we need to pay out, there might be about 150 left, maybe. But then we never get to see that. One of the guys that's going to cost that is this man here, bro.
you know what's mad about stuff like that, yeah? Like, obviously, this guy will cost you about 150 million, so there's your budget. But, like, when you think, like Enzo said, like, I listen to not listen, but I hear like I can't remember what the guy's name is, man. He's always on Twitter and he's always talking about like the finances and stuff. You know, sometimes I read it, yeah. That's it, yeah, Mo Chat, that's it, him. And big up because obviously he knows way more than I could ever even comprehend about the finances, right? But sometimes I also laugh. I'm like, it's mad because he'll sit there and tell everybody, yeah, we got this amount of money these times. Man spent 12 million in the summer. Like, where's this money? Like that we thought that we had. Like you showed us that we had 200 million, like minimum to spend.
Tell you where it is.
It's not his fault.
Boston. It's in Boston. The Red Sox just signed Alex Bregman for $120 million.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
That 12 million wasn't in the transfer kitty. That was money we
well,
made.
yeah, I mean, we sold players. How much we sold Bobby Clark for? Like, yeah, I mean, we just
Dominic. We got like 7 million off Dominic Solanke's sell-on clause.
There you go. Like, there you go. There's the keys of money right
with
there.
7 million, I could buy the next Isak out of South America.
You know what though? You know what though? You know what though? You know, it's really funny that you say that because like I see that. You know, when people go, oh, we're linked with this guy and he's going to cost this much. Because I'm sat there thinking, how much will we get for the players that we're going to sell? Because I never think about having transfer money. I always think about who are we going to sell to make that money to then buy that player. I never think, oh, well, we're going to have 100 million there.
Listen, all I'm going to say is if we do the double and we get all of that money, plus we sell players, and then we don't spend cash, there would have never that would be the moment that I think would push all of the fence sitters over and say, okay, that's it. Our definitions of ambition are different. We want trophies. We don't want financial, stability, considering the fact that all these other teams make less money and they're outspending us. So clearly you're the problem, not them. But yeah, I mean, either way, hopefully it'll be a win. Either they spend the money or they fail, and that finally pushes people to start to say, you know what, it's time to have protests. It's time to get these people out. It's time to get the Americans out.
But if you do look at Edwards, like when he was the director of football.
Yeah. Second season.
We bought Ali and Salah with Coutinho money. So that's why I sit there thinking, how much will we get for Nunes? How much will we get for Diaz? How much will we get for Elliott? How much will we get for Keller? How much will we get for Costas? That's what I'm sat there thinking. How much can we then invest into?
But that's a lot of players to buy because you can't just buy Isak, right? We need a 9. We need a left winger. We need a DM. We need a left back. I think our right back already signed with Real Madrid, so now you need a right back.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
Quite a lot of pieces. It's quite a lot of pieces. Still,
it's a balancing act because I always feel like with this whole money, I don't even like getting into that. Listen, they do what they do. We just focus on the football, right? But like, I always feel like it's a bit difficult though because what are your own ambitions as a club in a general sense? And obviously, I'm not here to. If you feel like they only have ambitions for this, whatever. But what are your ambitions? And remember, as much as we might cuss, the reality is, in recent times anyway, with Klopp anyway, Liverpool have been so good that it's almost like, unless you really, we as fans want to keep winning, right? So we want to get the Bellinghams, the Chouamainis, and all these guys, right? And that's right to ask, like, why can't we get these players if we know we could probably afford them? We just don't want to spend the money. But on the flip side, then it's like, you know what? If you're already kind of competing with what you've got as a business, you wouldn't really then go like, what would you need to like keep adding more money into this? Like the reality is, I'm already doing as good as everybody else is anyway, if not better, other than one team who can spend like this stupid amount of money for whatever reasons. So you're almost like, So sometimes I sit there and think to myself, like K-Mac said there, like, I'm not looking like, listen, I would love, you guys know, listen, and you mentioned Frankie de Jong. Cool. Let's get Frankie de Jong. Let's get Musiala. Let's get like, I know he just signed a new deal, but fuck it. Let's try and get him. Like, let's get Isak. Let's get this guy. Bro, I would love Liverpool to do. We all would. We'd all want these bad boy players to play at our football club. But the reality is, if you guys are telling me anyway that Liverpool's team is this good now and we can win a Premier League, they might look at it and think, man, fuck that. I'll get you one player and then you're good. you run the same shit again, or I'll get you 2 players potentially, and then you just run the same shit again because you won the league with these guys. So why can't you just run it again if they trust Slot that much? Like, it's balancing, man. That's why this argument is difficult, in my opinion, because I can understand from a business point, but I also am a fan. So I want the best players. I would love to have all these bad boys playing at my football club, but I just know that it just doesn't.
Big up,
it doesn't work. Like
big up, guys. That's just big
up, man. Big up.
All right, look, we're gonna big up, bro. We'll wrap it up there. To be fair, guys. G, as always, man. Love for the love, man. Guys, G's link for his big up channel is there in the chat. Make sure you guys go because he's going to be doing the tactical breakdown tomorrow, 10 a.m. I want to say 10 a.m. on Big Up. So make sure you guys head over there. If you haven't become a member of his community, it's very straightforward. Obviously, you just need an email address, man. Log in, nigga. You know, over there's jokes still. I can't even lie.
The one that you use for Pornhub, man. Just use that one. I don't need to see it. Just run your rhythm.
All right.
An email.
Copy.
Is that where we're going? All right. Fair enough.
It's late. You know what I mean? This is
Okay,
the vibe,
after that. I hear it, man. So that's G's one there. And obviously mine is already pinned to the top in the comments as well, guys. So if you haven't already, come over there and join us, man. So you got the tactical breakdown tomorrow and then possible a Barca watch along tomorrow as well. So make sure you guys head over there, man. We'll chop it up in there as well. Continue to have some vibes. Mike, when's your next stream on your channel, bro?
I knew this was coming. I knew that was coming. I was like, there's a reason why he's not saying mine. I don't know, man. Eventually, one day, at some point, we will make another stream about Trent Alexander-Arnold. Our soon-to-be Real Madrid right back. But listen, at some point, listen, if we end up winning the league, I'm sure I'll sit there for 24 hours by myself, just playing FIFA and just reminiscing. I'll put all of the players in and I'll just redo the whole season. I'll do 38 straight matches. I'll sim every other competition. I'll say we're going to win the league just like we just did. At some point.
Now, fairs. And let me go and see what the poll stands at. So who was your man of the match? If you guys haven't voted already, make sure you go and vote now. So we got Allison on 30%, Diaz on 24%, Wataru Endo on 36%, and Quansah on 10%. So not a lot of love for Quansah for the last ditch tackle.
He's my man of the match for sure. Without him, that's a draw. I don't care about overall performance.
Do you know what I wanted to say as well on G's stream, man? I saw G. He saw it. Didn't read it, but he saw it.
What did you say?
No, when I said because you know what we always do with Mo is like, without Mo we wouldn't have won. Without Diaz we wouldn't have won.
But I said. But what did I say to you, bro? And start listening instead of
selective hearing, bro. Selective hearing. That's fine.
You got the selective hearing because I said that Diaz was the best attacker. I said Mo was piss poor. I was trying to see Chiesa run for like 20 minutes or something.
I'm not asking to compare. I'm not asking. I know people already have an issue with me comparing them. Just in general, just mentioning Salah, bro, man, get triggered.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying.
Got an agenda against Salah, guys. We know already.
Bro, he was also robbed. He was also robbed of an assist today. I mean, like the fact that that's not counted as an assist because he tipped the ball. Also, another question: if I win a penalty and the penalty gets scored, how is that not an assist?
It is
like
an
that's
assist,
the. Oh, is it? So Luis.
No, it's not. But for me,
no. I'm talking like stats wise, statistically speaking, that should be considered an assist because without you, the goal doesn't happen. And it's the same thing with Mo. If Mo doesn't play the pass, the goal doesn't happen. I don't care if he flipped his leg and it tipped it off. It went in because of the pass that Mo made.
It was
he should be on 38 GA.
There was one last season from Jota, and I remember he cut the ball back to Diaz. He came off someone's toe, and then Diaz flicked it up and then volleyed it. Was it against Fulham or Brentford? One of them teams scored like a little scissor kick at the front post. And then I was that's an assist from Jota. They're like, nah, because the other player touched it, it's no longer classed as an assist.
So dumb.
And I'm like, what? He went to where he wanted the ball to go. Like, it's not like, it doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense.
He's getting robbed here, bro. He should be on 38. I mean, people need to deep how absurd it is. 25 games, 37 GA. Are you kidding me? In the Premier League? Absurd.
The other thing I wanted to let me because I didn't realize that. I should have realized it, but I didn't. Let me go and get it so I can show the people.
And I need to even shoot, you know. Shit, I just see the time. I need to shoot.
All right, cool. Say less, bro.
Big
Actually,
up, big up,
people, I
man.
might post it in the community tab anyway, man. It was about how many wins we haven't lost in 21 league games now. So yeah, we're doing big things, man. Just continue to support the boys. One game at a time. 13 games left. Villa next. Let's go and get it, man. Big up to yourself, Mike, for jumping in as always, bro. G, love for the love. K-Mac as well. Big up, man. Chat as always, man. I appreciate you guys. Should be back tomorrow, I want to say. Maybe if not tomorrow, day after, in terms of YouTube. But make sure you come and join me and G doing the tactical breakdown tomorrow and also the watch along. But guys, until we meet again, peace.